Resume my recording. Let us share the correct screen. Get my chat all up here. We are going to be working in Premiere, as you can see. So if you want to go ahead and open that up, you can. I'm just going to look through some stuff real quick. See what y'all got going on. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I think it's good. Only thing I would probably go back and do is just take out the 1 second of black between. Just have them flush to each other. But yeah, that's fun.
To the class. I said, would you like to say hello?
Hello.
Hi, baby.
Yeah, yeah, I like them. They're cute. But yeah, I saw your note that you accidentally filmed in the wrong. You filmed in portrait, not landscape. So yeah, I would just fix that, and it looks good. Yeah, yours has the same issue that Skies does. It's just it's in portrait instead of landscape. And the only other thing I would definitely look at is it's very orange. Very orange. You could probably get a lot of this orangeness out by changing the tint in there. Or filming during the day. Whichever would be easiest. It looks good. I love that. Something I would definitely look at. I think it looks real good. This shot right here, where it's a little shaky. That could be where the stabilizer's on. If you've set it down on something, that stabilizer is trying to stabilize it. You might be able to take that out with the warp stabilizer. But yes, this is great. It's a little shaky. The whole thing's kind of shaky.
What a good kitty.
Yeah. I like kitties. I like it though. I think you did good. I was expecting a body to like slowly creep out of the hole. I like all your whip pans. I need sound.
So I forgot the camera I was using. I have the in-camera sound turned like really low because the mic I use on it goes to a lot.
Yeah.
So I forgot that I had that on. So there is audio.
I was gonna say I can kind of hear the fuzz.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I need to hear that wind when you whip.
Yeah.
The only other thing is like as much as I like it, there's just 5 clips. You've got like a whole bunch in there. But yeah, I it's cool. But doesn't meet the brief too much. But you also turned it in like in a pan.
Yeah, I did.
But no, I like it a lot. I like it. It looks good. I like those. I like it.
There's a lot of things we just need to watch.
The last shot's neat. I like that.
Go.
Yeah. It was titled Meta, so that's pretty cool. All right. Filming the filming. Let's see. Okay. So we're going to be doing something very similar to what you guys just did as your homework tonight. So if you haven't, go ahead and open up your Premiere. I just made a new file, saved it to a specific folder, and I just titled it masking. You can title this Premiere stuff, more stuff, video things, I don't know what's happening, whatever you like. But I titled mine masking. And we're going to use the same double identity images as last time, but you can also use any video clips that you have that you used previously for the in-class stuff. When you go to do your homework, you will have to refilm new things. But for now, if you want to use those instead of the double identity things, you can do so. For you, you can email them to me. Yeah. You're special. You get to just email them straight. You can't turn things in on detail.
I'm special individual.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is we're actually going to talk about how to have two clips playing at the same time using masks. So all a mask is it says, hey, I have a clip. So I'm going to pull in this one right here. I have a clip. I want it to start at a specific time. I'm going to mute that because that's loud. And come in at a specific time. So I'm going to say I want her to be reaching for here. And again, you can do this with whatever clips you like. You don't have to cut or trim anything. Just kind of helps with this specific example. So I want her turning this light on at the same time it happens in this guy's clip. I scrub through on this one. See how it turns on right there? So I need to line these up as close as possible. So light turns on about there. Light turns on about here. So I just need to cut off a little bit of this beginning just to match it up a little bit more. Yeah. So how this mask works is I'm going to say, hey, this half closest to me right here, I want to be a completely different shot. I want it to be a completely different part of our footage. So if I click on this one, you can see I have them over top of each other. Pretty much what's going to happen is we're going to say, hey, I want one part of the clip to be visible and the other part to not be visible. And we can do this by coming over into our clip and in our effects controls here. Inside that opacity, I mentioned that there's this little tools right here that can create masks when we were talking about how Premiere and things work. We're going to be using these today. So the first one we're going to look at is I'm just going to click either you can click the circle or the square. So I'm going to do circle, and you'll see it automatically puts a circle over top of my clip, and it cuts out all but what's inside that circle. So if I want this circle to be on this dude right here, I can move that circle and put it where I want it to be. So if I only wanted it here, I can put it here. If I want it here, I can put it here. So the rest of this guy's shot is invisible. It's clear because it's masked out that part. So we can make this longer. We can make it wider as needed here. We can also come over here and you'll see it has a mask 1. So this means I have one mask on this clip. You can have multiple. It's not uncommon to have more than one, have 5, that sort of thing, depending on what is going on in your shot. This feather here is how blurry or fuzzy are the edges of this mask. So it automatically defaults to 10. If I take that down to 0 and click away over here, you'll see I have a nice hard edge on this clip. If I take this up to 100, it is a very soft edge. This is your most basic mask. This is the soft edge, hard edge, standard masking tool. So I'm going to turn this down maybe about 75-ish or so. If you need to change anything about its position, you can just re-click on the word mask 1, and it's now back up here. And you can see Then I've got this kind of double-edged line on the front, on the inside and the outside of this circle. That's your feather. You can change that feather by changing this little circle here or by the number. So you can see as I pull this out and in, it changes that number in tandem. You can take this center circle, and this is the growth or expansion, this number here, of your mask. So do you need it to be more sunken in, a lot larger on the outside? How big does this need to be? Put that back down to 0. We also have our opacity. Do you need it to be a bit more see-through and ghosty? So maybe he's a ghost. Ooh, spooky. Or maybe he's, not. Or maybe you need it to fade in or out using keyframes. Keep in mind the same with After Effects. We can keyframe any of these things that have little stopwatches next to them. Just by clicking on the stopwatch, it'll create a keyframe over here so that we can do things. Now on that, we can also click this mask path. And depending on where we are on our timeline, we might need to shift it. So you can see right here, if I click this little stopwatch at the beginning of my timeline, when I scrub, you'll see he sort of slowly leans over. If I want to keep my mask with him centered, all I have to do is click this mask, shift it over, and you'll see because my little stopwatch here is blue, it automatically created another timeline keyframe. So now it keeps him centered. Questions? Yes. There is more. So there's this method of creating a mask. I'm going to create a new sequence. I'm going to just do Control N to make a new sequence. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to come down here, HDV 24. So I have this sequence. It's got these two. And then I'm going to do another sequence, let's say with this creepy guy with the knife. And hi. And this one where he like jumps out from behind something. Loudness. So we've got him with the knife. We got her running across. Him dodging the car. Yeah. So what we'll do here is something similar. If we want this to be happening at the same time he's chasing her, so we want to see her running away at the same time that he's doing that little knife trick, there's a couple things we can do. Again, we want to trim out anything we don't need. And move that down. And I'm going to use on this top one here, that box one. So when I click that, it automatically creates a box. And we can click on each of these little edges here, these little corners, to move that box where we need it to be. So if I want only half of my stuff to be shown, I can do, oh Lord, only half. I'm going to make this a bit smaller so I can see the whole outside of my frame. If I want it to be just a section of my clip, I can do this. So you'll see now it's just a section here. But we can also say, hey, I want this to be halved, but I'm blocking all my action that's happening, her running over here. I might have to keyframe this to be a little later so she's actually visible. So I'm gonna, goodness, I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. Trim that a little bit more. So now She's kind of in focus here. So if I need to move him to cut this little extra out, but I don't want to expand him because there's too much extra empty space over there, what I can do with this mask is if I click on this, not only can I change things about the mask, but I can also shift its position at the same time. So if I know I only want to see this part of him at any given time, I can shift his position so that he's moved over and he's closer to where things need to be. Get rid of that. So we now have a nice split in half with little to no effort. Now, with this, you can see that edge is fuzzy. For this clip, it works very well because it's got kind of misty. It's kind of not that great. That's fuzzy detail. But if we were to come in here and be like, hey, I really want this feather to be hard, like here, so we can really see that division, depending on what you're doing, you might need a harder or softer feather. So you can see when she runs away. Now there's other things in here we can do wrong button, to make things look a little bit more interesting. So this is a nice just split in half screen. I'm going to make another sequence that is Control N again. And I'm going to add just a few clips, maybe unrelated. We'll do this one. We'll do the car chase. And then we'll do her in the chair again. So I have these three here. They're all unrelated, but maybe they're only related because they're all happening at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to trim these down to where I need them. So I'm just going to do very little at the end here. On the second one, I'm going to do her just getting in the car. Like so. So we want all three of these to be happening roughly at the same time. Right? Her getting out of the chair, car picking her up, and her running outside the movie theater. So if we wanted to have all three, we could definitely do different versions of these opacity filters, right? But we haven't really looked at this pen tool one or the free Bezier draw. So I'm going to go ahead and on this clip over top of our original, I'm going to say I only want her. So I'm going to come over here and cut some interesting shapes. So it's just her. So we can change this. If we need more or less points, we can click on a point and hit the delete key and it should work, but it didn't. Don't know why. We can make some funkier shapes if we need them. I'm going to get rid of the feather. Now, if we're like, I really don't like this mask, I can click on the mask, delete it, and redraw it. So I'm going to do something a little bit more zigzaggy, like this. Just a nice little, slightly larger than her mask right here. No feather. So when I click away, it's just like a little slither has been cut out of our clip. Now we have that happening all at the same time. Remove that. And then now we want to also have this chair happening at the same time. Now we don't have to leave our clip fully scaled up. We can also come in here and change our scale to be smaller. So if we want this to be happening like down here in the corner. At the same time, all of these are happening. Maybe over here or up here. We can still do this. We can still click on this top one, do another mask. Maybe we want something more triangular. Like so. So we could have something a bit more interesting and unique. So we now have this more triangular one. We've got this one. And they're all playing at about the same time. Now, if we wanted, this mask here to push across the screen as she's walking by, like it's moving with her to leave, we can also do that. So if we want to start moving with her about here, we can click on this mask and make sure we're keyframing our mask path. And we can move this mask, I have to be with the mask visible, off the screen. So it can move. If we want this bottom one here, or the one that's on the very top, this little triangular one, to pop up at the very beginning, so it starts off screen and comes on screen, we can do that same thing. We can turn on our mask path at the beginning, move to where we want it to be fully on screen. Or maybe let's say as she leaves, it disappears. So we'll do like here. I'll add another keyframe with this little button right here. So you can add or remove one with this little button here. And let's say we now want it to move off screen as well. We can take this mask path, drag it down. So now we have her all moving off screen. If you notice, like on this top one, that move away is really slow, and you're like, I think that needs to happen a lot faster. We can click on our keyframes and drag them on our timeline over here to get them to happen a lot quicker. Questions so far before we start adding some cool decorative stuff to it to make it look neat? So this is cool, right? You can have multiple pieces of footage happening at the same time, right? So let's say with these clips, we wanted to have black bars kind of accenting where they are on the screen. We can definitely do that. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to list view because I like it better. I'm going to right click in this little empty space down here. You can also come up here to file and new object. And I'm just going to do a black video and tell it OK. Now there's a lot of different things we can do with this black video. So if you guys used it with your exercise 5x5, to have that black video and title at the beginning and end of your clips. You can also use this with masks. So if I put this here, I'll drag this back down a bit. You can see it automatically makes everything solid black, but we can still see the outline of our mask. If I take this mask and do Control-C with the mask one of this right here selected, I can come to this black video and in opacity here, do Control-V, and it'll add that mask. It won't keep the scale or anything like that, so we will still have to scale it. So if I come back over here, and I'm like, I know that this scale is 47. I can come to this black video. I can change this to 47, and it'll disappear because it's perfectly hidden behind this one. Oh, I typed in 47. 47, there we go. So now I can come over here, I can say, hey, on this mask, let's move this so it's behind here. Might have to move my actual position. so that it's over top of this. And if we want it to be a little bit bigger, we can do that. And then put this underneath our clip. And you'll see we get this ever so slight black outline. So that's pretty cool. What we can also do is say, hey, for this mask here, this one, if we wanted black lines on the outside of that as well, we could take that same black video, add another layer, make that the same length. We can come over here and make a mask path on this layer. Drag the edge down. And we can make an ever so slight bar like that we can then make keyframes so that it will follow it off screen. It's also a little off-centered a little bit. Let's shift that over a little bit. There we go. So if I take this, I can say, hey, let's keyframe that mask path. It's going to start moving about here. Let's say it takes this long to get off screen. So we'll say, hey, let's take this one here, move it off screen. Or in our path, we can take it, give it a good old click, move it off screen. I'm holding down Shift to keep it moving perfectly parallel as well. You can see it now moves with it. Now it might do something a little silly like this. All you've got to do is click back in. Accidentally added a point. Shift it a little bit. It'll add another keyframe. And you might just need to add a couple of keyframes like that to kind of hide that theme. Sky, you said something about a mirror trick. Yes, you could definitely do a masking technique and mirror. There's also, you can also use some scaling tricks to do that. And then there's also that flip that's in here. There's a horizontal and vertical flip. So you can actually flip things and get some really cool, neat stuff by doing multiple techniques of this plus that. Questions at all about masking or anything like that? Okay. Now, the reason I have shown you how to do these each in their own sequence is because when you're making these masks for your homework, it's a lot easier to make them all in their own compositions than it is to have them all in one big one. Because what we can do is if I come over here and I'm like, I just want to see all my sequences. I don't want to have to worry about this. So I have this one. I'm going to right click on this. I'm just going to rename it sequence 1. I come down here. I got sequence 01. I'm going to rename this one sequence 3 because I have 3 of them. And I have sequence 2. When you're doing your homework, hello, you'll have 5 sequences. So you'll have 2 more, but you'll also have something called a master sequence. So if I'm going to make another sequence with Control N, I'm going to do this one again. I am going to make sure I call this one master sequence because this is what I'm going to put all my other sequences into. So once you have your masks keyframed, timed, put how you like them. All you need to do is then take your other sequences and you can drag them into your timeline here. And they'll be this kind of greenish color. But you can then just put them into the exact order that you want them to be in with your title, your 2 seconds of black at the beginning, your 1 second of black at the end, that sort of thing. So that we can have our different masks based off of what we've done in here. Questions just about this workflow so far? Okay. Now, other things that you can also add on top of these masks to make things look cool is you can definitely add color correction for your homework. I definitely want you to do color correction and stabilization just like with the last one. But you can also add really cool transitions to make things look really neat. I would use them sparingly. Most of the transitions that you have will actually be just different cuts to your footage, like how I have here. You might have smaller ones. You might have a transition where your mask, if my mask were to go off here, it would actually go into that same clip here. So maybe if I reorganize some things. Have a little bit more interest. If I wanted this to feel a little bit more natural, I could come in here. Wrong one. I could put that horizontal flip on this clip. So now as she's going this way, she's also running this way. Makes it feel a little bit more interesting, cohesive, things like that. Questions? All right. Let me make sure these dates are correct for you guys. Real quick. What's today? Monday, Wednesday, Friday? It is. Okay, so this is not the correct date for y'all. Let me fix that. All right, so here's the write-up. I'm going to re-upload it to D2L. Pretty much, this is going to be due on the 24th, not the 22nd. And what you're going to be doing, I don't know, 24. What you're going to be doing is it's pretty much the exact same homework as last time. You have to do 5 individual clips, but each individual clip must also have a split. How I recommend doing this is, let's say I have my cat, she's at home, she's sitting on the bed, maybe I've got full light. Make sure you have good light if you are shooting inside. Do not get, don't do underlit footage. That's no bueno. So let's say my cat is sitting there, she's all cute, but at the same time while that clip is playing of me watching her do something cute on the bed, I have my cat outside playing in the grass. Those would be happening at the same time. Same if you've got a skateboarder and they're skateboarding down the street, maybe you've got them going sideways, but you also have them coming at you. You want both clips playing at the same time. So yes, you're still doing 5 clips, but you're also doing 5 others with it. And if you want more splits inside of your work, so if you wanted to have 3 clips playing at the same time, you'll need to record 3 clips for that one spot. So you'll have 5 different sequences with their own main clip and then splits within them.
I have a question.
Yes.
There's something that I think it's a really neat little edit, and I don't know if it would be considered a split, and if not, then I will save it for another thing.
There's this edit I see people do where they're like looking in a mirror and they look down and the mirror is doing something else.
Yes, that would be a
Would
split.
that be? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm excited. Thank you.
So what I want you to do is go outside, preferably, but if you are going to be inside, make sure everything is well lit. If you're not sure if you're going to have enough light, we do have light kits downstairs where you can check out the camera that you guys can use if you're local. If not, grab extra lamps from around the house, plug them in all haphazardly to light wherever room you're going to be in. Just be careful. Make sure you set your camera up correctly based off of the settings that are online that we went over in class. Make sure if you're shooting handheld, you got your stabilizer on. If you're shooting with a tripod, that stabilizer's off. And then just go outside and film things, you know, downtown, campus, at a park, in your yard, outside. Very similar to how you just did your other 5x5 exercise. And then your 5x5 will include 5 split screens. So keep that in mind. So it's five 5-second edits that each have their own 5-second clip. So it's the same thing, but you just have an extra layer to it. You can add transitions, you can add music. I still want to hear natural sound, but you can add music over top. Try to keep it royalty-free, things that won't get me copyright stricken on YouTube again. They're really starting to get angry at me. So just be aware of that. And then at the beginning of your sequence, you need that 2 seconds of black, the 5 seconds of your simple title. Remember, that can just be your name, whatever you want to call the work. Then you want 1 second of black between that title and your clips, your 5-second split screen sequences. And then 1 second of black at the end. Make sure you're color correcting and stabilizing. And then turn that in as an H.264 MP4 format with your name on it. It says on the server, but that's also D2L. But on top of all of that, I do have some examples to show you. I don't have many, but I have a few. Now this next one I'm going to show you is very thinking outside the box. If you want to do something like this, go for it. So you can go abstract too. So the one that was really dark, she actually just went out on the sky bridge late at night, recorded it, did a whole bunch of flips, did something cool. The one where it looked like stuff was like moving, like cell work, that was actually glitter on cloth. So you can get really interesting and trippy with stuff using the splits. Sam, yes, I think that should be fine. If you're worried about the horror-esque fake blood stuff, we can always talk about what you have in mind real quick. And I can give you a, yeah, that should be fine, or maybe let's rethink it a little bit. But that being said, like a lot of stuff that people do that are similar to that happens around Halloween. So I wouldn't think it'd be too out of place. But we can talk about it if you like. Okay. Questions? Does that help? Do the examples kind of clear some stuff up for you? Okay. Now I'm going to tell you this in advance. When this homework is due, we're going to be starting to do a different homework. It has never been done in this class before, to my knowledge. It is brand new. I have no idea how it's going to work. When you're filming, keep in mind that you might be reusing those clips later for the next homework, because I'm not going to have you refilm unless you want to refilm. So if you have something that you want to do, just keep in mind, be like, hey, I really liked this footage. It's very stable. It doesn't move too much, but there's things in there that are working and doing things. Record extra bits of clips just in case. Just be aware you might be wanting to reuse clips for the next homework exercise after this one's due. It's vague, I know, but I don't want to spoil the surprise. But that also being said, you will still have time to film if you need it and all that stuff. But if you want to reuse your clips for the next homework, not this one, but the next one, you may do so. So if you're like, I really want to get a whole bunch more video clips of my dog or whatever, in case I need to use it for the next homework, this would be the time to be thinking. Just a little outside the box for that. Okay, that's all I have. If you've got questions, stick around. I'll have the updated date, time here, updated right now to D12. And that's all I have. If you guys need to pop out, you may do so. If you need to stick around for questions, you may do so. I will be here for a little longer.